While watching Andor and re-watching Rogue One, I was taken by the impression that Galen Erso either was a terrible engineer or didn't really want to destroy the Death Star. Welcome back to Fiat Veritas, my project management and product development channel. One thing you learn pretty quickly in product development is that you want to avoid single points of failure of critical systems. In skydiving, if your main chute fails, you have a backup. In scuba diving, you have a spare regulator if your primary fails, and you can buddy breathe if that fails. If the failure of a component will cause someone to die, you have a mitigation or a backup. And if the failure of your plan leads to the destruction of planets, you better not require the impossible to happen routinely. So did Galen Erso's plan to destroy the Death Star have any single points of failure? So many. Oh, so many. And did these single points of failure have any mitigations? As far as I can tell, just one: trust in the Force. First, he had to get word out that the Death Star was being built, and he sent a single pilot out with the message, and he was sent to contact an unstable rebel. That succeeded, but Saul Guerrera didn't believe him, so it looked like Erso's plan stopped there. Luckily, Andor was there, and he did believe the pilot. Erso's plan required the infiltration of the heavily guarded data center on Scarif. The odds of success were very low, so the rebel leadership didn't sanction the missions, which would have killed Erso's plan. But Andor goes rogue and puts together an incredible team, and against the odds lands on Scarif with a stolen Imperial ship. The team includes Galen Erso's daughter Jyn. If she hadn't been part of the team, they wouldn't have been able to identify the correct file since it was called by Galen's nickname for her. And once they had the plan, if it hadn't been for a Force-sensitive young pilot that had just joined the Rebel Alliance, they wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it and destroy the Death Star. And I could go on, but you get the point. Erso's plan had so many single points of failure that it was insane that it worked. Now this made for a great story, but a terrible plan. You might think he had no other options. But I think any experienced product development tech lead would have been able to destroy the Death Star project by enlisting an unwitting ally. Director Krennic. We've all seen executives like this. They have only a cursory understanding of the technology and consider the people who do as his pawns. He wants all the glory, and he's under immense pressure to deliver. Failure in the Empire, especially of a project of this importance, was not treated lightly. To destroy the Death Star, all Galen Erso had to do was to suggest to Krennic that the safety factor be reduced from 1.5 to 1.25, or maybe even 1. Every part should be just good enough with no margin. That will save time and money. Suggest suppliers that can deliver more quickly and cheaply, and they should be good enough. Receiving inspection is a waste of time since the parts are all inspected before leaving the supplier on Narkina 5. They can save more time by skipping unit testing. By suggesting enough of these shortcuts, Erso would have doomed the Death Star to failure. Probably it never would have been completed. Parts just wouldn't fit together because they didn't meet the tolerances. Possibly it would have been completed, but not have worked, and the project would have been killed by the Emperor as a waste of time and resources. Or maybe it would have powered up, but destroyed itself because some critical system that they thought was good enough just wasn't. This wasn't a guaranteed approach, but it was much more likely to succeed than the approach Erso took. But watching the Death Star project fail due to poor process control and risk management would have made the machinations of the Trade Federation seem as exciting as a lightsaber duel with Darth Maul. So trust in the Force, but mitigate your risks. For anyone paying attention, you might have noticed that this is my first video in over a year for this channel. It's not that I stopped making videos, but my efforts have been focused on my other channel, Decarbonize. You can check it out here.